Some debts can never be paid. Some sins can never be buried deep enough. This is the story of Ibrahim and the passengers who would never let him forget. The rain hadn't stopped for 3 days. In the village of Goza, the roads had turned to rivers of red mud, and the sky hung low and grey like a burial shroud. Amina had counted the days. 37 days since the last beating.
I told you to stay out of
42 days
it.
since she confirmed she was
pushed
pregnant
me.
again. And tonight was day 0, the day she would finally run. At 4:47 a.m., while her husband Musa snored in his drunken sleep, she moved like a ghost through the house she'd called prison for 5 years. Her 7-year-old son, Yusuf, clutched his small bag, his eyes wide with fear and hope.
Mama, are we really leaving?
Yes, my dear. Shh, my love. Yes. We're going to your grandmother's village, where he can never find us.
She placed her hand on her swollen belly. 3 months along, this child would not know the back of its father's hand. This child would not grow up watching its mother bleed. They slipped out through the back door as the first cock crowed. Meanwhile, across town, Ibrahim stared at the bottom of his bottle of locally brewed gin. The Sunshine Motor Park was quiet at this hour. Just the night watchman sleeping in his wooden kiosk and the rats scavenging through yesterday's trash. Ibrahim was 43 years old, but he looked 60. Prison does that to a man. 7 years behind bars for a single punch. One moment of anger that had ended a life and destroyed his own. He could still see Daniel's face, his fellow driver, his friend once upon a time. They'd argued over a passenger, something so stupid, so meaningless. The woman had chosen Daniel's
I
taxi
told you to
over
stay
Ibrahim's,
away from here.
And in his drunken
You
rage,
can't tell me
that's
what
when
to
Ibrahim
do.
threw the punch.
That's
Just one.
it.
But Daniel's head hit the concrete edge of the drainage, and the sound, God, the sound was like a watermelon splitting open. Daniel never got up. 7 years. 7 years of eating watery beans and sleeping on concrete. When he was released 6 months ago, nobody wanted him. Nobody would hire a killer, even an accidental one. The taxi companies turned him away. Only his uncle, old Uncle Tanko, took pity
You
on
can
him.
drive my taxi, but any trouble, any at all, and you're finished. You understand?
Ibrahim understood. He understood that this was his last chance, his only chance. He saw Daniel everywhere, in the motor park, in the faces of other drivers, in his dreams. So he drank. He drank to forget, to sleep, to silence the screaming in his head. Tonight had been particularly bad. Ibrahim had drunk himself nearly blind, and now at 5 a.m. he was stumbling to his uncle's taxi, thinking only of driving home before the world woke up to judge him again. The road out of Gwaza was empty and dark. Amina walked quickly, pulling Yusuf along, glancing back every few seconds to see if Musa had discovered them missing.
Mama, I'm tired.
Just a little further, baby. We'll find a taxi soon.
But there were no taxis, not at this hour, not on this road. Amina's heart sank. They were still too close to town. If Musa woke up now, if he came looking, then, like an answer to a prayer, she saw headlights cutting through the dawn mist. Amina stepped into the middle of the road, waving her arms frantically. Ibrahim saw her too late. He slammed on the brakes and the car skidded on the wet road, stopping just inches from her. "What is wrong with you, woman?" he shouted, his head pounding from the alcohol. "You think to die?" Amina rushed to the driver's window, her face desperate.
What is wrong with you, woman? You want to die?
Please, I need a ride. To Bama village, I can pay.
Mama, that's a long way. It'll cost you.
Please. I'll pay double, triple. Please, sir, we need to leave now.
"Get in," he said finally. "Back seat." Amina nearly cried with relief. She bundled Yusuf into the back seat and climbed in beside him. Ibrahim pulled back onto the road, driving faster than he should have, eager to get this over with and get home. They had been driving for 20 minutes when Ibrahim's vision started to blur. The alcohol was hitting him harder now, mixing with exhaustion. The road seemed to move like a snake, twisting and turning. "Sir, are you all right?" Amina asked nervously, noticing how the car was swerving. "I'm fine," Ibrahim snapped, but his hands were shaking on the wheel. Then he saw it, a figure standing in the middle of the road, a man, Daniel. It couldn't be. Daniel was dead, but there he was, clear as day, his head bloody, staring at Ibrahim with empty eyes. Silence. Ibrahim woke up to the smell of petrol and blood. His head was ringing, his chest pressed against the steering wheel. He turned, his neck screaming in protest. The back seat was a horror. He opened it, checked for pulses, nothing. Both dead. The woman's belly was still swollen. 3 people. He had killed 3 people. Panic seized him like a physical force. He couldn't breathe, couldn't think. 7 years in prison had broken him once. This would be a death sentence, or worse, life in prison. He would die behind those walls. The thought came to him like a demon whispering in his ear. Bury them. No, I can't do that. But his feet were already moving. There was a shovel in the boot. He used it for when the car got stuck in mud. He retrieved it with trembling hands. The ground was soft from the rain. Digging was easier than it should have been, as if the earth itself was complicit in his crime. He dug 1 grave, deep enough, wide enough for 2, maybe 3. Ibrahim laid him gently at the bottom of the grave. Then he went back for the woman. As he lifted her, he saw it. Her finger moved. Just a twitch, but definitely movement. Ibrahim froze. His blood turned to ice. She was alive, barely, but alive. And in that moment, he had a choice. Call for help, try to save her, confess everything, or... The panic won. The same panic that had made him throw that fatal punch 7 years ago. The same darkness that had ruined his life. He grabbed the shovel. I'm sorry. He brought it down on her head. Once, twice, 3 times, until the finger stopped moving and the choice was no longer a choice. Then he buried them both, covered them with red earth, stamped it down, scattered leaves and branches over the disturbed ground. When he was done, he stood there in the rain, covered in mud and blood, staring at the grave that held his damnation. Then he drove away. That night, Abraham tried to act normal. He went to his small room, but sleep wouldn't come because Yusuf was standing in the corner of his room. The boy's neck was bent at that impossible angle, his small bag still in his hands. He didn't speak, just stared at Abraham with accusing eyes.
You're not real. I'm just tired. Just guilty. You're not real.
He almost believed it was his imagination. Almost. Until he heard the humming. A woman's voice, soft and sad, humming a lullaby. It was coming from outside his door. Thank you for the ride, she whispered. They came every night after that, sometimes together, sometimes alone. Amina would sit in the corner, humming her lullaby, her hands cradling her belly, rocking back and forth. Sometimes he would see them in reflections, in windows, in puddles of water. Sometimes he would hear them in the sounds of the motor park, in the voices of passengers, in the rain. Abraham stopped sleeping, stopped eating. He drank
No,
more,
please,
trying
not
to
again.
drown them out.
I
But
can't
alcohol only made them clearer, more real. Uncle Tanko noticed.
You look terrible. What's wrong with you? Nothing, Uncle.
But Uncle Tanko wasn't convinced. Neither were the other drivers. They saw how Abraham would flinch at nothing, how he would talk to empty air, how he would refuse to drive at dawn. 3 weeks after the accident, Abraham returned to the grave. He had to. He had to know if it was real, if they were really there, or if his guilt had finally consumed his sanity. He found the spot. The earth was still disturbed even after the rains. He fell to his knees, digging with his bare hands, tearing at the red soil until his fingernails broke and bled. He found them, still there, still dead, very dead. Abraham confessed 3 days later. He walked into the police station, covered in mud, shaking, barely coherent. He told them everything: the accident, the burial, the murder. They didn't believe him at first, thought he was just another madman. But he led them to the grave, showed them the bodies. The police arrested him. The newspapers called him a monster. Uncle Tanko disowned him. The whole town wanted him dead. But Abraham felt relief. Even there, behind bars, in a cell with 20 other men, he would see them. And Abraham understood finally what Amina had meant. Some debts can never be paid. Some sins are too heavy to bury. He would see them for the rest of his life in this world and whatever came after. The passengers who would never reach their destination, the souls he had stolen. His eternal punishment.